Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into our band show. Thank you guys again so much for joining us. Happy Memorial Day weekend. We hope that you're relaxing right now, and we hope that you guys are as excited as we are to have these amazingly talented gentlemen in the studio. So for the first time, but not the last time this evening, let's bring in Phenomenon. Welcome to the show, guys. How you feeling?
All right. Thanks for having us. We're really happy to be here.
Yeah, feeling great. Day. Happy Memorial Day, everybody.
Definitely.
Thanks for having us here.
Of course. You guys are filling that God-shaped hole that I think our band show's been. It's a great song. I really enjoy that tune, man. I hear a lot of different styles and influences. We've had the pleasure, of course, of hearing you guys perform during the warm-ups throughout the course of the day, and it's such a fun, diverse, eclectic set. So stick around if you guys are just joining us. Well, hey, I'm sure there's a leftover hamburger or a hot dog somewhere. So if you need a snack, be sure to grab one. Or maybe fire up the grill. Bring us on, your mobile phone. You can watch us all the same on YouTube, on your TV, on your mobile phone. And while you're on YouTube, subscribe, like, comment, and share if you want to show you care. It'll cost you absolutely nothing and mean the world to us. Especially help us bring more great bands like Phenomenon to you guys. So, Phenomenon, let's get into it. There's a lot to discuss here. We really don't know you guys too well, so we just kind of want to do what I think our audience would expect, but also just for personal reasons on this one. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the band, and let's start from the beginning. What is the origin story of Phenomenon?
Yeah, for sure. So we've been playing together for a while, but we actually started Phenomenon about a couple of years ago, and we really played our first gig formally at the UFO fair in Pinebush. So that's kind of where the whole paranormal Phenomenon name came from. We're big fans and interested in the paranormal, and the name just sort of fit that gig really well, and we ran with it from there. So that's kind of our beginning. And we're all Hudson Valley guys. I'm over in the Newburgh area, and Barry's over in Pauling, and Kenny's in Montgomery. And like I said, we've been playing for a long time. We decided that we wanted to get into doing original music. So when COVID hit, we actually had a lot of time and started writing music. And, post-COVID, we started rehearsing and actually putting together the songs. And then from there, we started really take it out gigging. And we're just trying to grow it from there and trying to do original rock.
Yeah, fantastic. I love that. But let's unpack that a little more. When you guys say you've been playing together for quite some time, how long has this musical connection been going on for?
It's been going for a while. I mean, we were in a previous iteration of a cover band called Charge the Mound probably about a decade ago, which I had started with a couple of guys who have kind of since moved away, but Mike came on as a guitar player during that time. I was playing bass, and, we had a good time playing covers, going out and gigging and stuff like that. I took a few years off. They kept it going, and, we kind of reconnected a few years ago and, doing more of the cover band stuff. We did a Pearl Jam tribute for a while. And, kind of in that, Mike and I think have always been interested in doing original music. That was one of the things that we kind of reconnected about. We both had some tunes out there on SoundCloud. And so Mike had written some of these awesome songs. And, one day I went over there on a Sunday and, brought my, my tab book and kind of mapped out some bass lines and stuff for what he was doing. And, we came out with 2 or 3, fairly finished songs at that point. And then he's just been on creative fire ever since, coming up with more. And I do my best to, come up with a good bass line on it. And, Kenny's, holds everything down on the drums. And, I think we've got just a nice, tight, group. And we all get along, all know each other really well. And, no drama. We just have fun playing, original rock and roll music.
I love that. I think I feel like I have to say rock on. That's
the idea.
Party on. So let me ask you this then, because I hear a lot of different influences in your playing, but I definitely can't pin one specific act or style on you, which I always really love when bands can wear their influences, but also, shed that as well and use them to inspire their playing. So I want to talk about your sound, of course, but I'm still in the cover band land. What kind of music were you guys doing in that era? And can we take maybe how you were playing those songs and get to anything that might have made its way into the Phenomenon sound?
Yeah, definitely. I think all of us have a big influence from the grunge era. So that's a lot of what the covers were that we were doing, 90s grunge, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, STP, a lot of that stuff. And then some influences maybe with like Led Zeppelin and things like that. And Kenny's a big Led Zeppelin fan. But we really draw our influences from there. We're not really trying to be like anybody, I don't think, and I definitely don't write from the perspective of trying to come across with a particular sound. But those, for me, that grunge era is a big influence. A lot of like STP and Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, and it's definitely an influence. I don't try to make our songs sound like them. But there's definitely a base of songs that, are embedded over the years of listening to that I think we're all kind of influenced by.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And, as an audience member, if you will, I hear those influences for sure. But I also kind of hear some elements in the audience of our band show. You guys will hear this later on. There's some ambient music that, kind of makes its way in. There's these really beautiful, soothing, if you will, sections before a big rise, and I also get some like blues and some southern rock in like some of what you're doing on the guitar, Mike. Some of the ways that you phrase your leads and just some of the chord progression in and of itself. At least that's what peeks out to me.
Yeah, definitely blues-based rock is a big influence. I grew up being a huge Guns N' Roses fan, so like a lot of guitar players, Slash has always been my favorite guitar player, so I definitely take some influence from him, and he's obviously a big, blues-based guitar player. So not that I try or could sound like him, but I definitely pull from that influence for sure. And that's just all kind of melded with everything. I think we take interest in all sorts of kind of music, from Americana, folk, even a little bit of country, southern rock, and we just sort of meld this all together and try to make our own sound within the rock genre that's kind of unique to us.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to bring Kenny into the conversation here because because you're holding it down, man. First of all, I just want to give you a compliment and let everyone know that your toms, you had to do nothing to them. That is an amazing drum set, and it takes a great drummer to keep a good drum set in shape and tune an amazing drum. So I'm just loving everything that I'm hearing so far. But while I hear about these influences that, Mike and Barry are talking about, I definitely hear the Zeppelin fan in you. But like I would give the same compliment to your string players, it's so much more than that as well, right? Like I hear the influence, but then there's also your own unique style. So why don't you talk to me about your approach to playing drums on these amazing Phenomenon tunes?
Yeah, I'm kind of influenced by the drummer of Grand Funk Railroad, which is Don Brewer. And then I got into the John Bonham and the Black Sabbath and Deep Purple, Ian Pace and Bill Ward. And I just always like to play covers and tunes like that. So I think it's a good idea to go out and find a band. And
yeah,
I found Mike. He had a Drummers Wanted ad about 12 years ago. Yeah. I responded to that, and all right, let's check it out. Then we ended up doing Charge the Mound and back into the rearview mirror, and then all originals that this great guy right here wrote.
And Kenny's got some great fills. He has those influences, but Kenny really puts his own flair on things. And, that's one thing that, not to put you on the spot there, Kenny, but one thing that's really great about his playing is he's really got a lot of cool, drum fills that are creative that, he puts his own spin and his own signature on the songs.
And the mistakes don't count.
Well, it's all jazz, right? There's no wrong notes. But I will say is, Mike, I'm glad you went there. I was totally going to say the phrasing is very unique in and of itself. I love what you do with the toms, not only the way they sound, but the way that you use them. You pick your moments. It's always so big when you do it. But I always think my favorite drummers are guys like Dave Grohl, right? Guys who understand that the song in an original composition should take precedent first and foremost. Yeah, of course, we all have chops. We can all do the craziest things you could imagine, right? But not every moment is that drum solo in the amphitheater. Sometimes you need to pick your moment, make it real quick to add that flair, and then get back to letting your string players, your lead singer kind of carry the tune. And I really see that in your playing, man. And I think it's a very patient but beautiful style of playing. I'm really enthused so far.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
So before we jump in to the second interview and of course more music before that. And just so everyone knows, we do plan to, we didn't, it wasn't missed on us when Mike said there's an interest in the paranormal. It's just in show business, you want to have a hook. So the hook for the second interview is going to be, we're going to unpack all that paranormal stuff. But before we do that, you guys wrote in your bio to us that your first show was what again?
So yeah, our first gig was actually at the Pinebush Paranormal Festival that they have. It's actually called the UFO Fair. They have a paranormal museum in Pinebush. So our first gig was at that UFO Fair, which is an amazing event. If anybody wants to go, it's super cool and a lot of fun. But we kind of started our whole thing there and just kind of blossomed from that time.
Kind of seems like the dream gig for you guys.
Yeah, it was perfect.
It was great. Yeah, it was a pretty short gig, and we had like I think the 3 originals that like we had worked out, and threw a couple of covers in there, and that was like perfect for the set that we needed to do. And it was just a cool experience being at that fair, and I had never been to anything like that before. So there was
a lot of Martians walking around.
Yeah, it was cool. It was great.
Oh, that's great. You know what? Speaking of Martians walking around, why don't we drop some Martians or UFO emojis in the chat right now if you guys want to show the band some love. And of course, feel free to ask a question. We would love to include our chat as we normally do here while we're live during our band show. So drop a question for the band. We can talk about anything, whether it be musical influences, any fun questions you have. And of course, if you have any paranormal questions, why not, right? When in Rome, as they say. So, guys, I could chat with you all night, and I certainly plan on it. We do have a second interview coming up. But the thing I want to do the most, and I would, venture to guess that the audience probably feels the same way, is now that we know you a little bit, let's hear some music. So something's got to give, and I eventually have to hand this over. So I'm going to toss it over to you guys for the first official set of the evening. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to some amazing phenomenon rock and roll.